I'm really tired of seeing so many people lose so much money to scams. It just seems to be getting worse. It's a war, and these idiots are winning. So how do we protect ourselves? Michelle.
Well, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Jasmine.
So take a pause and get that number and give them a call back.
Great advice. We're looking at scams and how to protect yourself. I'm Joe Ducey. This is Joe Knows Better. Hey, it's All Better Business Bureau today. In studio, we have Michelle Marin and Jasmine Hill. They are both here to talk about, they deal with consumer inquiries and scams. We're talking about scams and Scam Tracker, which is a great thing to go to, BBB Scam Tracker. We can actually look at the latest scams and also report them so other people can see them and maybe you don't fall for it to protect yourself. So thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you see a lot more than I do all the time. We're looking through some of the scams that you were seeing. Is there something that surprises you? Maybe the amount or the money or that this is still going on or what?
I would say a little bit of both, but I think people are recognizing the red flags and reporting them to us. I know in the past in Scam Tracker, we would only get a little bit of information, but now they're getting emails and they're putting that in there too.
So they're putting the actual information that people. So the good thing about Scam Tracker is people can look in and say, if they're good about standing off after they get a call saying, hey, I looked it up on Scam Tracker, and the same thing happened to all these other people. I'm glad I didn't answer, and I'm not going to call them back.
Yes, exactly.
If they could say...
If they stop.
If they stop.
Yeah.
Michelle?
Yeah, to Jasmine's point, you can search the general scammer information. And so somebody actually reported recently that they realized that they were being scammed by Googling the phone number, and Scam Tracker popped up.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's great that they were able to do that. So they Google the number.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. Let's go over. We were looking at July. I think this is from July, right? The latest Scam Tracker scams and reports. And Ina put this together, I think, right, with the team.
Yeah.
Number one was online purchases, which is pretty general. Number two, debt collections. Number three, employment. And actually, we're going to talk about all three of those today. But also after that, phishing scams. Phishing scams are basically, them trying to get you to act about something. Travel, vacation, timeshares, retail business, government agency imposters, bank credit card companies. People listening are like, oh, man, yeah, I get all that. Mm-hmm. Sweepstakes, lottery prizes. That's interesting that it's fallen that low. I think people are kind of getting caught on to it.
They're catching on.
Right.
Which is good.
That Publishers Clearinghouse surprises you and doesn't say, hey, pay this amount. Tech support, counterfeit product, cryptocurrency, and romance. And I always remember, romance has like the lowest amount of inquiries in this group. But I bet if you look at those complaints, you have the highest amount of money.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you see? Like hundreds of thousands of dollars people are losing for fake.
Paying for love.
Paying for love, yeah. I guess that's what's happening. All right, each of us took a different category here of the top three. I don't want to go first. Jasmine, you want to go?
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to talk about...
Let's go for it.
Which one?
All right, so this is a top one here, an employment scam. It looks like the consumer lost $20,000. So still the same old things. They're reaching out to them via WhatsApp. But what I find interesting here is that the consumer tells us that they taught them how to transfer the money into a Coinbase bank account. So they're teaching them how to, get the money out of their account into somebody else's. But what's even funnier is that the type of job it is to watch movies and then review them.
So you got to watch movies and review them. And if I remember right, it was for an hour a day?
Yep. They're giving free 30-minute training sessions, and it says you are only required to work for 1 hour a day.
How many movies do you watch in an hour?
None. I haven't.
How much part?
You get to finish the movie in a couple days and still get paid.
Now that's one of those things I think that we really want to get across to people. When you think about it, it just doesn't make sense. If you think back, an hour, a movie. How am I making this much money? I can't even do that for an hour. It doesn't make sense, right?
I believe he said he was making that they promised him up to $800.
$8,000 a month.
$8,000 a month, yeah.
The other thing, real quickly, what are you noticing about employment scams? Is there a general?
I would say maybe just the demographic. I know I had one emailed to me personally by somebody I know, and they're typically looking from work from home situations, usually older people or who should be retirement age, but I think they're weary to know that they need to be at home and that they're responding to these. But this person also went ahead and called the company who they were supposed to be, and they also let them know, like, hey, there are other agencies out there saying they're us,
Okay.
but we're not looking for employment.
So it used to be, I think, that people would put their resume up, right, on these sites, and then they'd be contacted, and they would get, get somebody, and they'd be really hired through text
Right.
and
Right.
not even seeing the person. And then they would get a job. It's usually too good to be true. They get a big check,
Exactly.
and then they're asked to pay a coworker a certain amount of money to set up the remote location or whatever. You put your good money out there,
and send us this back, and
And you
then it
find out-
bounces.
the check bounces, right? Because it wasn't good. So you don't know that till 3 days later. You're out like $2,000,
Right.
whatever. Now, though, you just mentioned it, Coinbase or the Bitcoin, they're changing it up, right? I mean, is that what you're seeing in some of these claims where they're actually telling you to open accounts and buy Bitcoin
Yeah.
and what?
The method of payment may change, but it's still the same old typical scam. But even that, like you said, is
Yeah.
still a red flag. If they're teaching you how to do something you don't know,
Yeah.
that might not also be for you as well. Or pause, you
Yeah.
know, go run it by somebody else. Have you heard of this? Like,
Yeah.
you should already have a bank account. You shouldn't have to go and set up another one.
Are there anything else that stood out for you? Any other ones that you thought were interesting? Or
What I found interesting also on here is the way that they word these. So some of these that I do see on here don't typically have those, those typos that we're used to seeing.
yeah,
So maybe,
so the scammers have cleaned it up a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, okay.
but I think once they know we're on to them, then
Yeah.
consumers, like I said, they're sending us more information. So then we know that they're also getting better too.
Okay, and people losing a lot of money. Did you see amounts like?
So far, the first one with the 20,000 was
Yeah.
the largest sum that I saw this far.
Yeah,
But I feel like we keep putting it out there and keep making others aware, they can give us more information and hopefully still, stop, like you said, before they go ahead and move forward.
so those are the warning signs, right? Job too good to be true, hired just by text, and having to get paid by linking an account or
Right.
buying Bitcoin or something like that.
I would
That's just
say-
bull.
I would say another red flag too is if they're asking upfront payment
Yeah.
for a training service or equipment. Most legitimate companies aren't going to ask you to pay for your training equipment
Yeah.
upfront. They're trying to get your payment information, account information,
Yeah.
and you're not going to get anything back.
Okay, and that was so employment was the number 3 scam for the month. Number 1 was online purchases. Michelle, you took a look at that. It's
Yeah.
pretty general.
So online purchases is unique because it covers such a wide basis of purchases, whether it's through social media platforms, false websites, and we even saw a uptick in scams from actually private social media accounts. But regardless of where the scammer is scamming people, they're still trying to collect money. They're pulling on heartstrings. Something that was unique with the online purchases for July is the online pet purchase scams seem to be
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, people
Hitting
love
again.
their pets and they know
Right.
it. The scammers know it. These are very sad, but really interesting. What happens?
So so just this last month, somebody reported that they lost over $10,000
Man.
trying to adopt a Maine Coon, and
A what?
a Maine Coon cat.
Maine Coon cat. All right, man, you got to give me up on the
Yeah,
cat culture.
beautiful animal.
They're
I don't know what they normally sell for,
Yeah.
but
why are they different or what? They're not like they look
I would
they're
say
fuzzy.
they
They're
kind of look like exotic, like a wild one, but like
They're really
domesticated.
large.
okay.
Yeah.
yeah, they're
You can
Okay.
have them. You can legally have them.
Okay. So like a big cat you can have in your house. I got it. Okay.
well. So
Use as a pillow at night. No.
there you go.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
no, cats
Very
don't like that.
fluffy.
Yeah.
A really expensive pillow.
All
but
right.
yes.
Yeah. So how much was it? What happened here?
Well, so they contacted this person online,
Yeah.
who apparently bred them, and I guess initially it seemed legit.
Yeah.
They were able to, show them pictures, of course, no videos,
Mm.
but pictures enough to where they felt like this animal exists.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna get it. They paid for the, I guess the way it's worded is that every hour the breeder would reach out to them and say that there's an additional cost.
Okay.
Wow.
And
So what was the initial cost?
so the initial cost, I think, was the down payment of the cat.
Which was like what? A couple thousand maybe
You
or
would-
whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah,
3,000.
a couple thousand if their total
Yeah.
was 10. So then
Yeah.
it turned into medical fees. Then it turned into travel fees, carrier fees. And as they progressed and said more charges as they went, that's what drew the red flag.
Now, are these people paying all along so they have money
They
in
did.
the game?
They paid all along. And so apparently when they finally started to realize that this was seeming scam-like, they said, no, we don't want to proceed. We're not going to give you any more money. In fact, we want our money back. And then the scammer actually said that they threatened them with more expenses of an abandonment fee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they
Oh
were.
my God! Is there a scam fee? I mean, my God, this
They
is
got
just
that
crazy.
fee.
Yeah. All right. So they lost how much money?
So they lost $10,434, but they attempted. So the dollars attempted that they reported was over 16,000.
Okay. So I guess I could say they saved $6,000.
They
but
saved
they lost
$6,000.
$10,000. All right. So what's the lesson here? I mean, the lesson is that you don't know who you're dealing with. You've got
really
no idea.
don't.
There's not a company name, right? I mean, you can check bbb.org for reviews on companies if you can get the business name
Right.
Right.
and see if they're accredited or not. But is this something where you say, "Ooh, this looks like I can't find anything concrete here"?
Yeah, I would
It
say.
could be me going online and saying, "Hey, I got
Right.
this cat. Here's
Well-
a picture I got from Wikipedia."
And I think a reputable company that sells animals are going to have very strict set procedures and,
Yeah.
and policies
Yeah.
and should be very transparent up front with what's expected for an animal purchase, especially if they're transporting the animal.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
you
know?
think it would be part of the initial cost, the
Right.
transport and the medical
Yeah.
fees. Like, oh, I have another fee, and then there's the
Right.
hair shampoo fee for the cat because it's so pretty,
And we're
then
going to
the
trim its nails.
trims
and
its
we're-
nails, and we have to do that. And there's a dental plan that goes with the cat's teeth because we want a pretty cat. It's like people go to the shelter and get a cat. Okay,
Yes.
there
Yeah.
are plenty of them out there. And the other lesson I think is, just don't. Anytime it wasn't gift cards, right? They had to pay in gift cards.
So they didn't actually share.
Okay.
The only thing that they mentioned was it was an online payment system.
Okay.
So it
Oh.
All right. So it's cash that they were transferring.
could be cash, could have been Venmo,
Right.
All right.
anything like that.
What else are you seeing? Anything else there that kind of stood out, or is that that's probably the biggest? Oh,
Well, still on the
pets is a big deal.
Yeah, so still on the pets online purchases, one thing that came in actually twice, and it was two separate scammers because they used two separate false names. But apparently, there's a big scam market with koi fish. So yeah, who would have thought? I've never seen
Where-
this before.
Right, is that
Hopefully
legal?
they're indoors in Arizona.
Yeah.
You can have some fried koi,
I
Mhm.
mean,
some boiled koi.
There goes your money.
Because oh my God,
it comes with tartar sauce.
a side of tartar. No, okay. So koi fish.
No, but in all honesty, it's quite sad. So actually, one of them said that they lost $600. I don't know what a koi fish typically goes for.
Those are like the big goldfish-looking things, right?
Yeah,
They're kinda
yeah.
orangey or- yeah.
Beautiful fish.
Yeah.
They are?
Okay.
I could see why someone would want one.
Yeah.
I don't know the ethical way to purchase them, but I
Right.
would assume transporting a fish.
To Phoenix, Arizona, and 120 degrees is not.
Well, we know what
where
happened to
they
the
wanna
dolphin. right?
be.
We're not
Exactly.
going to go there. All right. So let's talk about all right. So the fish. So they're paying same thing though, right? They don't know where they're
It's-
coming from, who they're.
Yeah,
Are they getting
it's-
transport fees for the fish too?
So with this one particular, it was interesting because again, the red flags popped up after they already submitted some type of
Okay.
down payment. So these people purchased what they thought was going to be just one fish, and apparently after they submitted that payment, everything seemed fine. They thought they were good to go. Fish was going to be transported ethically.
Yeah.
And then the scammer actually came back and said, actually, we just changed our policies and now we require a minimum of 3 fish
Whoa.
for shipment.
And how much more?
So
Much
let's
more.
see. So they actually didn't say how much more they asked because they literally stopped at that exact moment.
And how much had they paid?
600.
Oh,
$600.
wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So
It could have
within
been another probably. They could have been $2,400 out here.
yeah. So yeah, within I guess they don't give the exact time frame, but basically as soon as they said that they were supposed to ship the fish, they were contacted again and said,
Okay.
"Hey, you need to pay for 2 more."
All right. There are a couple of things to me that stand out here. One is you got to know the business. You got to know
Yeah.
there's a business behind it, right? Get a picture of something. Find out where they are. Check them out.
Yeah.
And make sure before you just
Business
send them money.
name.
The other thing is, I think that happens with a lot of scams, and maybe you guys have seen, is it could start where once you're in the game, it's hard to get out because like you give a little bit of money and then you're thinking, oh man, I have $1,500 and they want me now to spend another $1,000. You're like, I got to get that $1,500 back, but in order to do that, I got to give the $1,000. So now you're in
Right.
$2,500. Then they need another $500. Well, now I got $2,500 in it. So then so you're in the game. You got to almost cut your losses if you think it's a scam and just get out,
Yeah.
and then report it to police or do whatever.
They feel like they're invested in the purchase
Yeah.
at that point,
And
and
they
they
gotta
feel
see it
like
through.
right, they have to see it through. They've already put this much money in. What's another 500 when I've already put in a couple thousand or
Yeah.
something to that extent? But really, it's recognizing when these red flags hit and detaching from whatever you think you're getting.
Right.
And to Jasmine's point earlier, wait. Do your research. Tell them no. Tell them you'll call them back. And if they start to get really pressing and they start to act like there's some sense of urgency or that they're going to be giving, the
It's the
animal to
last
someone
puppy,
else,
you know?
right?
Do
you
it now.
Take that as a red flag.
Yes.
Yeah. Nothing is that everything's a risk if they have to do it now.
Right, exactly.
All right. So I took a look at debt collection a little bit, and we've had a lot of complaints about that here. And I mean, I printed out all of these were just from I think July. Now this isn't just from our area though. This is from across the country. But with the debt collection, the scammer said they were a student loan forgiveness program and that I qualified for loan forgiveness due to my income. They said they would lower my payments from $900 a month to $68 over 7 years. I had to pay an enrollment fee of $890. I had to make 3 payments of $290. They're in it for this amount of money, and nothing happened. So, I mean, with the loan forgiveness, I know that's been a big deal, and it's confusing because the Biden administration has repeatedly taken actions and relieved some, and then some of it came back because it wasn't passed, and so people are, I think, confused about it. But I think if you go to the studentaid.gov, if you go there, that's where you can find your whose your loan company is. You can put in your loan information. Any place else, I just wouldn't trust them giving your FAFSA or any information like that
Right.
if it's a student loan thing. The other thing with debt collectors is people complaining about getting calls and being harassed at work and those kinds of. And there are laws about that. These repeatedly talk about going after family members, calling them
wow.
at work.
Wow.
There are a certain amount of rules about debt collection. I think credit cards, I think it's 7 years, I think it is, where it rolls off. So at that point, you really aren't responsible. I always think you have to pay your debts,
Yeah.
but they can't, I guess, they give up going after you.
Yeah.
At that point, though, I think what happens is other credit
You
places,
can sell that debt to
They s-
somebody else, and then they can then call on it. But your
Yep.
statute of limitations is 7 years. So.
yeah. So there are other people who take it on a dime, for every dollar, and then try to get money out of you and threaten you, and really you don't have to pay it. I would hope that if you did, incur the debt that you would, but
Right.
all the extra interest and all that crap is just not something you have to do. There are also rules about what debt collectors can do. And go ahead. You
Yeah.
said-
So you have to be mindful of advanced fees. I know certain structures of businesses that do these types of services really shouldn't be collecting upfront fees until there's some type of service or actual remedy that has occurred. So when you're considering something like this, look at the fee schedule. Look at what they're planning to charge you. If there's nothing up front or if there is something up front, understand what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Understand what the costs are going to be as you continue through the program, and understand how much of that money is going towards your debt and how much is going to pay
Right.
for these services with that company.
Yeah, that's great. And there are rules about what debt collectors can do for you. In Arizona, I was going to read some of these. They may not contact you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. Must only speak to you through your attorney if you have one. Many people don't. May not contact you at work if the collection agent knows or should know that your employer prohibits such calls. May not contact individuals such as friends and family more than a single time. Here's the thing with the laws. They're so ambiguous. I mean, may contact individuals such as friends and family more than a single time. How about you can't contact them at all?
Right.
so there's one time, but they're going to play on that. Oh, I only did it once. Well, no, you know. And the contact is limited to requests must send a written validation notice telling you the amount you owe within 5 days after they first contact you. May not contact you if you have informed the collecting agent that the debt is not yours. May not threats, all those things like, hey, you're going to go to prison, you're going to go to jail if you don't pay this debt. And they have to provide that information is crucial. You have to know what the debt is. You have to know exactly what it is, who's owed, how much, when it happened. If they can't provide that information, just say, stay away from this. I guess, we've done a lot here. I want to kind of wrap it up, but I think what I really want to get into is some things that people generally can do to protect themselves. We maybe can go around and we'll just, when we think of one, do the things that we see, and if they had taken a different path or not done something, then they might have saved their money. And I could start, and I'll take the easy one, and that is, I always say, don't answer your phone.
Mm-hmm. That's
and
a good one.
That if it's not in your contacts, you haven't made them a contact, they'll call you back. If it's your pharmacy, your doctor, don't worry about that. But that's when the trouble begins.
Yeah.
They're schemers. They get you on the phone, and before you know it, you're done. So don't answer your phone.
I'll piggyback off of that. Like you said, if you don't answer and if they do need you, they'll leave a voicemail and it'll have a number for you to call them back. Also, I would say in regards to, just debt collections, check your mail, because sometimes we will get complaints like, this business never reached out to me, and then business will provide, documentation of the times that they have reached out to the consumer. So just be mindful as to what is coming in your inbox and reading it thoroughly. If you do sign up for something again, what are you signing up for? That fee schedule and all of those things do play an important part.
Okay.
We're talking about methods of communication. Joe, you talked about phones. Jasmine, you talked about postal mail, but emails tend to be such a targeted method of communication right now. Pay attention to the actual email that's reaching out to you. Look at the domain name. So everything after that @ symbol, look at what that is. If it seems like it's legitimate to the proper sender, it's not even guaranteed, but it might be more legit. But look at who is emailing you. Pay attention to what the content is. Look for the spelling errors. I realize that they're getting better with punctuation and AI, right? AI is probably writing their emails. But pay attention to who's actually sending the email if they're giving some type of notice of a bill due, an invoice due. So
that's a big one too. I was going to that because I think it's sad to say, but I think that people should basically think it's a scam.
Yeah.
And then have them prove that it's not.
Yes.
Right.
That's the way to do it.
Start cautious.
And one of the things I think we talked about earlier with these fake invoices, that's been a big deal.
Yeah.
With
Cox,
I was looking,
APS.
Yeah,
I've gotten them.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them, and they used to be your subscription is coming up or whatever. Okay. Like, I don't have them. I don't care. But now it's like, Steve was just talking about it, our videographer here, that he got one from Geek Squad saying you paid $500 for a renewal of whatever it was. And then they give you a number to call if you have questions about it. I get them now that they say, you have done this, you've spent this amount of money, here's a number to call if you blah, blah, blah. So now I'm interested because now, okay, wait a second.
You
they
said
have
I
my
paid
money.
this. Right.
I don't have an account with you. Now I'm interested. So I'm going to call the number. Once you call the number, that's when it gets bad. So you almost have to take a step back on these things.
Yeah.
And think.
Check your bank account.
And
Yes.
if you really don't call them if you unless if you have the problem is like I got one from Costco and I'm thinking, okay, well Costco, I do have something with Costco and Prime.
Yeah.
But go into your account.
With your actual company, go to your Costco account.
Yeah, just like any bank email that comes to you.
Yeah.
I never answer them. I go into my account and say, oh, there is an issue, or oh, there isn't an issue.
They'll notify you as well. You have a message in your service center or whatever.
Yeah.
Usually whatever they email you, they'll put it in your actual account in their database too.
Yeah. I forgot about one thing. I want to end with this. It's about, we've been dealing with a lot of consumer things, but there's a business thing that's kind of going around. We don't mention specifics about company names, but there's one involving LLCs, right?
Yes.
That businesses should be aware of. And it involves basically LLC renewals, right? Like a lot of people have, even if you have a rental home, and you're renting it out, you file an LLC because it protects you personally and anything will go towards the LLC. So what's basically, is it a renewal thing? Is that kind of it?
So the notice that we received was that the person reached out to the business owner saying that somebody was attempting to do
Yeah.
trademark infringement and take their LLC.
Take
and
their
they
LLC.
prompted them to say, hey, you need to act urgently. These people are trying to take your LLC, your business name. Think of all that ties into that.
Mhm.
Their entire reputation, everything that's under this particular LLC name. And it's just, it plays on that sense of urgency, and your LLC is not at the risk of being used by someone else. So it's just being mindful of where your status is at with your own business as well, right? Make
Right.
sure you keep up on your corporation commission registration.
That's easy to check out.
It is. It's very
you go
easy.
online, it's
Take
right
the
there.
time.
Yeah, and that's what that's a good example of stepping back
Right.
instead of reacting, right?
Exactly.
And then look into it and then see if it's good. Same thing we're doing about storm chasers coming out with contractors.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got all this damage. Hey, we could do this for free.
Yeah.
Stop. Say, I'll take your information, check them out, and then decide. And you can
Yeah.
do that at bbb.org and whatever. All right, guys. Anything else, or we're good?
I think that's it.
I know you got a lot more you want to talk about. We can't do it here, though. Sorry, guys. No. We'll do it next time. Michelle, Jasmine, great being here. Thank you very much. I think we helped a lot of people.
Thank you.
Before hiring, go to bbb.org, check reviews, and for accredited businesses that agree to operate ethically. And see all my podcasted videos, joeknowsbetter.bbbcommunity.org. I'm Joe Ducey with the Better Business Bureau, helping businesses and consumers get it right.